Welcome to Steelers Only with Donnie Roberts II, and today we're going to talk about my positional rankings heading into the 2022 regular season. If you are new here and like to listen about anything about the Pittsburgh Steelers, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that post notifications button so you are notified when I upload a new video. Enjoy, and let's dive in. It's a new era for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all know by now that Mitch Trubisky is our Week 1 starting quarterback for the 2022 campaign. He showed flashes during the preseason that he can handle the job. The question now is, how long can he hold it? Kenny Pickett seems primed to take over sometime during the season, so Mitch needs to do is be damn near perfect. He had success in Chicago, going to a Pro Bowl and leading the Bears to the playoffs twice. He also had the opportunity to sit behind potential MVP candidate Josh Allen and offensive guru Brian Daboll for a year. I don't know how long he'll be QB1, but expect a slightly better showing than our quarterback play from a year ago. When you're the first quarterback taken in the draft, there is usually hype. The case is no different for Kenny Pickett. When he was selected 20th overall, there was mixed emotions from Steelers fans. I happen to be one of those guys who wanted Linderbaum over Pickett, but man do I look like I'll eat my words. Kenny looks poised in the pocket, has the mobility and accuracy of a franchise quarterback, and seems primed to take over the spot mid-season. I'm excited to see where he takes us in the future, and if he looks anything in the regular season like he did in the preseason, the Steelers are in good hands for the next 10 to 15 years. Sometimes life doesn't always pan out the way we intended to. That seems to be the case for career backup Mason Rudolph. It's not completely his fault, though. He has been sitting behind future Hall of Famer Ben Roethlisberger his entire career. Whenever it is his chance to play, he's been knocked out cold or hit in the head by his own helmet. Tough luck for the kid, but so is life in the NFL. To his credit, he has handled adversity like a professional and has gained my respect. The Steelers seem to want to keep him as an insurance policy, but I think it's time to say goodbye and try to get an offensive lineman via trade. Overall, I have to give the quarterback room a C+. We don't know how Trubisky or Pickett will pan out for the black and gold, and we already know who Mason Rudolph is in season. All three quarterbacks played exceptionally well during the preseason, but we'll have to wait and see how that translates in the regular season. It feels good when you know your draft picks, especially a first-round pick. Najee Harris is as advertised. A superstar. Don't let his yards per carry mislead you otherwise. The dude is an absolute freak of nature. He was top 5 in rushing last season with one of the worst offensive lines in football. The biggest question with him is how much he is going to touch the ball. If the Steelers want to be successful, they need to be smart with his playing time. The offense runs through Najee, and if he goes, so does the Steelers. I believe he will be top 3 in rushing yards and will lead the league in overall scrimmage yards this season. No longer will the Steelers have a piss-poor run game, no matter how atrocious this offensive line is. Jaylen Warren popped out of nowhere. The undrafted free agent proved himself worthy of not only a roster spot, but the backup running back role. That says a lot, but we still don't know how his game will translate to the games that count. It's a big mystery, but the best case scenario is we found another Willie Parker, and our 1-2 running back punch is going to be lethal. Then there's Benny Snowfootball. The tough bruising back hasn't had the success he envisioned coming out of Kentucky, but Mike Tomlin loves him. His special team work is appreciated within the organization. I'm glad we kept him for his special teams production, but as a running back, Anthony McFarland had a far better camp. Derek Watt is a name we all were hoping to see on the field more than he has. I don't know if he will, but the run game seems to be a lot better when he's on the field. I'm going to give the running back room an A-. It's hard going lower when you have a superstar in the room, but I can't go higher because of the depth questions. Deontay Johnson earned his contract extension. He made the Pro Bowl last season, had over 100 catches and 1,000 yards. His drop rate is decreasing as well. I don't understand the hate he receives. The dude puts in the work and we're seeing the results. Expect him to continue his success if he stays healthy, and he will be Trubisky's top target this year. He's one of the most underrated receivers in the game, and it's time he gets his respect. Chase Claypool is looking to bounce back after a down year in 2021. He moves to the slot this season, so expect tons of mismatches over the field. I don't expect him to get 1,000 yards, but somewhere around 850 for 8 touchdowns. The mismatch he provides in the slot should open up the Steelers' offense, so be excited for that. He's not that number one target we were hoping for when we drafted him, but he can still be an extremely useful weapon for us. NFL Youngboy, aka George Pickens, has that dog in him. Watching his highlights from Georgia, you expected that attitude. What impressed me most about him is his team-first mentality. To go from tearing your ACL to helping your team win a national championship is something special. The potential Rookie of the Year is going to have a big year this year. I don't expect a strong start, but a strong finish. You will see him push more people on the ground and probably stir up some fights. He's got that Steeler mentality, and I can't wait to see him on Sundays. The rest of the receiver depth is insane, but you should expect that from the Steelers. Rookie receiver Calvin Austin III seems to have carved himself a role when he returns from IR. Gunnar Olszewski is a former first-team All-Pro in the return game and showed that he is capable of being utilized at the receiver spot. Steven Sims and Miles Boykin battled out for the last spot, and to our surprise, they both made it. Well deserved from 2 preseason standouts. As of right now, I'm going to give the receiver room a B+, but I think they end the year at an A. Deontay Johnson is the only proven receiver on this list, but he still has his question marks. Pat Freiermuth is primed for a breakout year. He had a great year last year and should be only getting better with a hopefully better offense. I don't see a regression from him, and at worst his stat line will be the same. He's a good blocker and has steady hands and finds a way to get open. He will be a problem in the middle of the field. Zach Gentry has had a long road to get where he's at now. But the Steelers' number 2 tight end giant has been reliable the last few seasons. He will have a role with the team in 12 personnel and will be counted on to block. Last we have Connor Hayward, the rookie 6th-round pick. He seems to be a utility player listed at tight end. I don't know what his role will be this year, but I expect him to do big things in the future. I'm going to give the tight end group a B. Freiermuth hopefully rises to the occasion, and our depth seems fine. This is hands down the worst positional group on the team. We have seen this group spiral downhill the last couple of years, so don't expect them to suddenly be a dominant group. Second-year man Dan Moore Jr. didn't impress during preseason play. Kevin Dotson beat out Kendra Green, but that doesn't seem hard to do. The Steelers signed Mason Cole and James Daniels, but they struggled during the preseason. And Chusa Okorafor got an extension, but was it well deserved? I don't think so. And the O-line depth is worse. Trent Scott doesn't seem like the answer. Kendra Green is Kendra Green, and I don't know if there's a worse lineman in football. J.C. Housenauer remains the backup center, but we've seen him plenty of times, and he's not that good. And the Steelers traded for Jesse Davis, who has the starting experience, but his production is well below par. The offensive line group receives a D today, and hopefully it doesn't go down. You shouldn't expect that much from them, and maybe the Steelers will invest high draft capital on a good lineman. On the other side of the line, things brighten up. Cam Hayward is a perennial All-Pro and future Hall of Famer. The team re-signed Tyson Alualu, and if he can stay healthy, he should be one of our best run stoppers, even at his age. And the team signed AFC North villain Larry Ogunjobi to replace Stephon Tuitt. The depth of the defensive line was an issue last year. I think that changes this year. Isaiah Loudermilk will have a year of experience under his belt, and DeMarvin Leal seems like he will see a lot of playing time this year. Chris Wormley is coming off a breakout season and should be a stellar role player. And Montravius Adams impressed the coaches and fans last year with his play. If the line can stay healthy, this will be one of the best in football. Because of the depth, the defensive line gets an A-. Last year was an anomaly, and the Steelers will be back to normal this year when it comes to stopping the run. TJ Watt is that dude. The reigning Defensive Player of the Year will once again be on the tear this year. If he stays healthy all year, I think he will have borderline 30 sacks. Yeah, you heard me right. 30. There's not much left needed to be said about him, except let me reiterate. He's the reigning, defending Defensive Player of the Year. Alex Highsmith has something to prove this year. He had a better season last year, but it's still something to be seen. I think he has the potential to be great opposite of Watt, like Bud Dupree, and he's only in his third year. He's outstanding in the run game, and is still refining his pass rush moves. I expect him to have a 9 to 11 sack season, and the Steelers will lead the league in sacks for the 6th straight season. The depth did get better when we traded for Malik Reed. Malik Reed is a proven pass rusher who should benefit from the Steelers scheme. We should all be excited for him to don the black and gold. Jameer Jones, I'm not so high on. The less we see of him, the better. Overall, A- seems like a fair grade. TJ Watt is the best defensive player in football. Highsmith and Reed are good. Jones is but the edge rush shouldn't be an issue for this team. Miles Jack is a saving grace for this group. If it wasn't for him, they would probably have a worse grade than the offensive line. But the Steelers found their guy. Miles Jack is a symbol of consistency at the inside linebacker position. I'm excited to see what he does for this team, and friends across the world would say the same. Devin Bush and Robert Spillane battled it out in camp. Neither of them impressed. Is it time that the Steelers move on from both? Bush was the 10th overall pick in 2019, and Spillane showed flashes in the run defense. Outside of that, there really isn't anything good to say about them, so hopefully they prove me wrong, but I'll leave it at that. The depth isn't so good either. Spillane we already talked about. Mark Robinson has a lot to learn as a 7th round pick in this year's draft, and Marcus Allen hasn't found his footing since switching positions. Solely because I'm high on Miles Jack, the inside linebacker group gets a B. But if something was to happen to him, the Steelers will be in a whole lot of trouble. Ahkello Witherspoon showed elite coverage last year. If he continues that path, the Steelers might have found their number one guy they desperately need. But he only did it in 6 games. The body of work needs to be longer, so there's still question marks on him. The same can be said for Levi Wallace. Wallace did his part filling in for Tredavius White last year for the NFL's best defense. But, like Witherspoon, we need to see a bigger body of work. He has elite coverage skills, but will the new scheme affect that? Hopefully not. Cam Sutton played great in the slot 2 years ago. He disappointed last year on the outside. I think he's our best cover guy at the corner position, and I think he's primed for a revenge year. But there's a lot that needs to be seen from him to make fans comfortable with him. The depth scares me with this group. Arthur Mallett is a starting nickelback. He is stout in the run game, but in passing downs there's a lot that needs to be seen from him. James Pierre is a guy I have been high on. He has elite instincts, but he's raw. When he masters the technique, he can be a problem. But don't expect a huge role from him this year. The cornerbacks receive a B- from me. It's a talented group that can rise in these rankings, but there's a lot to be proven from them this season. If all goes well, the Steelers will be that dominant force we missed last year. Minka Fitzpatrick is a top 2 safety in the NFL. He has elite ball skills, elite tackling, and elite IQ, and his pay shows that. The NFL's highest paid safety has a lot to prove this year, and hopefully he can go back to being the ball-hawking safety we love instead of that 5th linebacker we desperately needed last year. Terrell Edmonds hasn't received the love he deserves from Steeler Nation. He has improved every year and has done exactly what the Steelers have asked him to do. I'm glad the Steelers re-signed him, and I think it will pay off as he and Minka will be one of the league's top safety duos. DeMonte Casey, Trey Norwood, and Miles Killebrew keep Steelers fans in high hopes in terms of safety depth. Casey impressed us at camp, and when he returns from IR, the Steelers will have big plans to use him. Trey Norwood impressed everyone last season as a 7th round pick who was a key contributor. And Miles Killebrew continues to be a special teams contributor who can make plays in the defensive backfield. That safety group deserves an A but I don't think they'll disappoint anyone this year. Chris Boswell is one of the most underrated kickers in the game. He is super accurate and has redeemed himself after an abysmal year a couple years back. He gets an A from me. Presley Harvin III had a tough year last year. He went through personal trauma I don't wish on anyone. I'm glad he's overcome it, and from camp, the preseason, he seems like he will be the punter we saw coming out of college. But until we see it consistently in games that matter, he will get a C from me. Well, there you have it, guys. My position rankings for the 2022 Pittsburgh Steelers going into the season. If you liked the video, remember to smash the like button. If you are not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and turn that notification button on so you see when I upload new videos. Thanks for listening. Peace.